if only a little. Hybrid introduces himself as Rain Rassig III, and as he keeps watch for the night, they get attacked by an alien which amputates its arm. Ben uses swamp fire to reattach the arm, but he isn't so delighted about it. You see, his species believes that Hybrid is the one true species, and all others are abominations. Hence, their ultimate goal is to erase all of them from the universe. Even when they find the teleporter back, Rain Rassig stays behind because now he feels impure and wants to live in isolation. Well, I mean, at least Ben knows what awaits them in the future, eh? At Galvin, the Hybrid invasion has already started, so Azimuth escapes with Paradox just in time to warn Ben. They mention a hyperspace jump gate, which the Hybrids will be using to teleport their army to the Earth. In this need of the hour, Ben sends Kevin and Gwen to recruit all the part humans they aided in the past, just as Grandpa ordered. Omnitrix contains the DNA of millions of species from all across the universe, and it can even be used to restore a species if they're wiped out by the Hybrids. Given the risk, Azimuth wants Ben to stay out of the final battle, but Ben refuses, so to increase the chance of his survival, Azimuth unlocks access to every alien and the voice command for Ben. Gwen and Kevin recruit Alan, Cooper, Julie, and Ship, and even Morningstar to come help against the invasion. The gang fights its way through to the hyperspace jump gate, whilst turning hundreds of DN aliens back into humans. Sadly, before Ben can destroy it, the gate activates and the Hybrid fleet arrives on the Earth. The trio enters the control tower where Gwen transforms into Anodite and defeats the Hybrid, but she cannot stay in this form for long as it will destroy her body. A group of DN aliens surrounds the team, but the helpers, alongside Max, appear just in time and defeat them. Ben decides to visit the Hybrid Supremes himself to negotiate, and learns that their obsession with racial purity has led to inbreeding, loss of disease resistance, and sterility. As a result, they are the last generation of their species and want to take down the whole universe with them. Ben uses the Omnitrix to fuse the DNA of every Hybrid in the galaxy with random species from the Omnitrix database, repairing their genetic damage and hence giving them another chance at life. However, seeing themselves as impure, they want to end their own race. But remember Rain Rassig? Well, he walks in with a mutated arm and convinces them that this way of life is better than dying out. The Hybrid Council agrees and elects Rain Rassig as the new Hybrid Supreme, who ends the invasion by recalling the Hybrid fleet from Earth. So, with the power of friendship, Ben saves the world once again. Totally unrelated, but Ben turns into Alien X for the first time on a mission. Alien X has no limitations to his powers, and hence he must become the voice of reason to confront two godly beings, Serena the voice of love and Bellicus the voice of rage, so he can use Alien X's powers. These two have been in an argument for millions of years and have never once agreed with each other, so, good luck, Ben. He does fail to reason with them and decides to never use Alien X again. Somewhere along the line, Ben's parents learn about his powers, and he's forced to explain everything to them. Ben tries to sneak out to help Kevin on a mission, but then this happens.
You are grounded.
What? You can't ground me! I'm a superpowered alien!
Ben refuses to listen to his parents since Kevin's life is at stake and arrives at the scene to rescue him. Eventually, his parents come around and even help Ben against the DN aliens using one of Max's guns. There's this one episode dedicated to Kevin where he returns to his mother's place only to find it destroyed. She tells him something about an alien called Ragnarok, and this is Max's reaction when Ben asks him about it.
He's out looking for the guy.
We're trying to help.
Then he must have found out.
Found out what?
It started years ago.
Kevin's father, Devin, used to be Max's old pal who died in a plumber's mission while fighting Ragnarok. Devin heroically jumped in front of Ragnarok's attacks and saved Max's life, giving him enough time to grab the Null Void projector and send him there. Devin had stolen a key from Ragnarok, which is the first thing he seeks after escaping from the Null Void. Ben and Gwen want to help, but Kevin is so hell-bent on avenging his father all by himself. Even later, when they follow Ragnarok to his ship, Kevin tricks Ben and Gwen and sends them back to Earth with a space pod. Kevin destroys the control panel and overflows the ship, sending Ragnarok to die out in space all on his own. Alright, and now for the Vilgax arc. Vilgax is back to conquering planets by defeating their strongest heroes and is now absorbing their powers. However, his ultimate goal is to get revenge on a 10-year-old boy who kicked his ass 5 years ago. Siphon, his right hand, arrives at the Earth and creates a dome, which is basically a fighting arena. To make the battle easier for Ben, Kevin tries to hack the Omnitrix to unlock its full potential, but the experiment goes south, causing a huge explosion. Some of Ben's aliens escape from the Watch, and now he has to catch them like Pokemon, in a 24-hour rush, or they'll vanish forever. Oh, and Kevin has mutated into an amalgam of materials, and he can't transform back to normal. One by one, Ben catches all the aliens, and then arrives at the dome to fight his arch-nemesis. He turns into Diamond Head and kicks his ass. I mean, honestly, Vilgax had no chance to begin with. After failing to defeat Ben, Vilgax frees Ghost Freak in exchange for information about the Omnitrix. However, his plan backfires, and now he wants help from Ben. You see, Ghost Freak attacked his planet and turned the people into his minions, and now he wants Ben to help save his race. They arrive at his planet and learn that Vilgax deeply cares about his people as he risks his life to save a little girl. Ben allows Ghost Freak to possess him on purpose and initially loses control of his body. However, Vilgax holds him off until Ben takes over again, and the planet is hence rescued. Vilgax got information out of this whole mission and now seeks the Omnitrix for himself. Sometime later, the trio is teleported by the Omnitrix to a planet named Primus, where Ben loses his watch and follows it to a volcano of sorts. The group finds Vilgax at its core fighting the new wielder of the Omnitrix, who happens to be Azimuth himself. Vilgax manages to steal the watch, but doesn't know how to use it. Azimuth reveals Primus contains the Codon Stream, a liquid database containing the DNA of all the Omnitrix's aliens, and without it, the watch is useless. When Vilgax arrived at Primus, it felt threatened and summoned the Omnitrix home alongside Azimuth to save its core. Later, Ben tricks Vilgax into turning into goo and then turns off its gravity projector to defeat him. He steals the watch back and throws Vilgax into the Codon Stream, which turns him into a giant version of himself. Ben transforms into Way Big to match the size and kicks him back into space. However, he isn't the only one after the Omnitrix. Albedo, a young Galvan scientist and Azimuth's assistant, arrives at Earth and asks Ben to hand over the watch. You see, Albedo wanted to make one Omnitrix for himself, but Azimuth refused, saying that there could only be one of it. So he left the job and made a copy for himself. However, he forgot a tiny little detail. The watch has Ben's DNA by default, which caused him to permanently lose his Galvan form and turned him into an evil copy of Ben. Now he's back on Earth to obtain the real Omnitrix and change its DNA to get his original body back. The two Bens duke it out with each other, which further corrupts Albedo's appearance, but luckily for Ben, Azimuth arrives to save the day and sends Albedo to prison for putting the whole universe at stake. Now, you would think that that's the last of Albedo, but as it turns out, Vilgax helps Albedo out of prison because of a common enemy, Ben Tennyson. The first thing Albedo does is go back to the planet Galvan and steal an incomplete version of the Omnitrix called the Ultimatrix. He is still unable to return to his Galvan form because the alien list is locked by the original watch, so Albedo will have to reset the real Omnitrix. He decides to lure Ben in by abducting Kevin and Gwen, but fails to kidnap Grandpa Max, who warns Ben about Albedo. Max suggests that they wait and recruit the plumber's kids, but Ben immediately heads off to confront Albedo all on his own. Albedo shows the true powers of the Ultimatrix and kicks Ben's ass with the Ultimate Humongosaur. Vilgax gives him a choice: hand over the watch or lose your friends, and Ben is forced to give the Omnitrix away. Now, Ben may not have an Omnitrix anymore, but he does have his Grandpa Max, who arrives just in time and takes the gang to safety. Oh, and Vilgax now wants to keep the Omnitrix for himself, which turns Albedo against him. He uses its powers to turn all of his army Humongosaur and attacks Albedo, who gets knocked out after getting overwhelmed. Ben returns to Vilgax and uses Omnitrix's voice command to initiate a self-destruct, and what do you know? He actually blows it up. Since the watch is now destroyed, Kevin turns back to his human form again and regains his powers. Oh, and on a side note, Gwen and Kevin share their first kiss, so, you know, they're officially a couple now. Ben initiates self-destruct on the Ultimatrix as well, and seeing how Ben has already destroyed the Omnitrix, Albedo hands over the watch to Ben. Ben, with his new watch, turns into Swamp Fire and fights Vilgax, but not before turning into the ultimate version of it. Vilgax tries to crash the ship into the Earth and destroy it using a fusion core, but Max and Gwen divert it from land. His ship hits the ocean, and Ben is forced to fight him underwater, where Vilgax showcases his true form. He attempts to eat Ultimate Swamp Fire, but Ben escapes by transforming into Jet Ray. Above water, Ben reunites with his teammates, and they watch the exploding remains of the ship. Vilgax has survived, so Ben vows to beat him if he ever shows up again, and hence, our hero saves the day once again. Alright guys, so that was the entire timeline of Ben 10 Alien Force. We may have made it to the end of the video, but let's go through the aliens that Ben turned into. We had Swamp Fire, Echo Echo, Humongosaur, Jet Ray, Big Chill, Chroma Stone, Brainstorm, Spider Monkey, Goop, Alien X, Nanomech, Lodestar, and Wrath. Thank you so much for watching our timeline of Ben 10 Alien Force. See you in the next video of Ben 10 Ultimate Alien.